Thanks for joining me. Sorry, I was just finishing my scanning and lost track of time for a little bit there. Let's just go to the indices. Right, this is the weekly Dow, and you can see we're sitting where we are range bound. Sorry, let me just get this down. Right, so we're range bound. We had a sell signal up there on the first week of January. I think we can get back to that January high. I think we're going to go and revisit that. And if we fail up there, then we are really potentially going to tumble quite hard. The volume in this weekly chart is picking up. We've had 2 weeks of higher closes. I fully admit that we've not broken this very severe drop on the 17th. So all the time we sit within that range, we could still drop from here. But on this Dow, I'm looking for this to, on the back of this volume and that higher close, and the way we're holding the bottom of this support, I still think we can go short to medium term higher. So let's look at the Nasdaq. Very similar. That's weaker. Very shallow close there, right into the resistance, but we did close higher on volume. So I think we've got, it's going to be a volatile week. It's got inflation this week, and UK jobs. I think certainly got UK inflation. I think we must have, yeah, we've got US inflation on Thursday. We're not looking for a significantly higher number in the US, but let's have a look at what we end up with anyway. So I think volatility to continue, but a grind higher as we get into the middle of February. This is cyclically, this is what you do anyway. If you look at a 20-year average of the markets or these indices, you would typically see how January could be very bumpy, very volatile. Normally, it can take as long as late February, early March to really get going if we fit in within the traditional cycle. But in the meantime, I would predict that we can still grind higher on that basis. Right, let's look at the European markets and we'll move on. FTSE is sitting up higher into resistance. I had this pink zone marked on for a long time now. I talked about this all last year and into this year. So we have, all we've done is recovered into the pre-COVID January 2020 drop zone. Again, we're holding up higher close on volume, but a lot of issues up here. And the DAX, wow. So all the indices we've looked at, this is by far the most bearish, sorry. But however, it is sitting on a lot of support. But this one is really struggling. Really struggling. What would make me bullish? What would make me bullish is a retest of the late January lows and a higher close. So if this DAX is going to pick up, so it's potentially, what have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow, that is. Okay, so we've got all this support underneath and all this resistance above. Huge three-wave move to get us up here. So if this is a bull flag, I still think this is going to be punctuated by a lower move first and then a pickup. So that could be very bullish if they dip further into 14,800, 850. And then close higher at the end of this coming week That could then take us back up to the highs. But at the moment, this is dropping on volume. So the path of least resistance on this one is lower, whereas the US and the UK looks higher. Moving on, let's have a quick look. Now I am in the Asian market to some extent. Posted this in my Telegram room. Anybody wants to come in the Telegram room for the Wealth Club, let me know if you're not already in it. So yeah, this is a huge push on. We're very lower numbers today. Where is everybody? So again, a huge wave up here in the Nikkei, and then this three-wave move back into support. Now we've dipped underneath this support and then immediately closed higher. That is potentially very bullish. So this is potentially a fake breakdown with a higher close in the weekly chart, which could get this going. So I am long in Japanese smaller companies fund, accumulation fund, and looking for this to hold and grind higher. If we close back underneath, then we could come all the way back down to 24,200 easily. But in the meantime, I would support, I am going to hold my position in that fund. Same goes for the Japanese market. This is a huge area, really, really big area. We keep dipping underneath it and pulling up. We closed underneath this support, but then held on. I have to say that is, if we lose our footing here, this is going to come down this is going to come back down to 12,375. So this is right on the line. Let's have a look at the daily chart, because you've been looking at weekly charts here at the moment. It's come, I'm looking, interested in what's happened back here. So we had a huge breakout in July 2020. We've been bouncing back in this. It's possible they might want to do a full retracement to this, to the whole breakout area. So that day, any market that can't close above the 20-day average is bearish. So at the moment we keep knocking our head. So if we knock our head on that resistance line and fail, then this is going to wind its way down. If we can get above this 15,240, then that's very bullish. But I have to say at the moment the threat is that any higher move here could find a lot of sellers who then subsequently drag that down. So ever since, so we had a bad day on the 28th and we stayed in that zone. So there is a mixture of signals in the global markets, with the US and UK holding its head up higher and the Asian markets with their necks on the line basically, and the DAX German market looking lower. Right, let's move on at a more rapid speed. Dollar's dropped right off at the moment. So if the inflation figures for the US start to pick up, then this could turn around. What have we got in terms of, let me look at this in terms of My best educated estimate is that will come back into that support. We are potentially holding here. We saw a higher volume on the back of this, but that's a severe drop down there under that support. I'm going to take this off and tidy this up now. So that is, let me just check what I've done here. Right, okay. I think if we bounce down to this early November level and hold, so I'm looking for a further move back into that support and then potentially hold it, bounce back up to those highs. But if that's a forced breakout and they're not going to hold this, then any move into 95.5 could see that sell off. Fed meet on March, so at the moment, any push to the underside of that could see that sell off. If this stays low, if this stays underneath this trend line, that's going to potentially hold up the US market. A weaker dollar is very good for the US market. So if this stays down under here and we break down lower, then this is done. So my best guess is that will push into that resistance and then drop. If I'm wrong, if we start closing up here, then this is going back up to the highs. My best guess is that that will push up a little short-term higher and then drop off. But that, I'm finding that, as you can tell, I'm finding that hard to call at the moment. Right. Quick look around commodities. But before we go, volatility index picking up. Volatility index has found some support and picking up. So if this continues to pick up, that spells trouble for the US market. So this is on the high side. So that suggests we are in for a further week of volatility. And if that volatility index breaks this 26, then the markets could get much more volatile and potentially see them coming off. Right, let's now go to, I'm going to whiz through commodities and go straight on to stocks. Now, I believe we are still well and truly in the commodity super cycle. I was buying dips in gold last week, not holding because I was buying in the futures market. So I was buying these dips here, pretty pathetic close. We can't close above this 1812 at the moment. So that is in no man's land. Let's look at the weekly. Well, given the weak dollar and that higher close off of this 1780 floor, we're still sitting inside of this very weak January range. So if ever you get a huge move, you know, a decent daily bar, weekly bar, whatever time frame you're trading in, if you cannot close above the 50% of that range, then you're potentially going to go back, you're going to drop in the direction of that move. So, for example, a big sell, big lower close here. We can't close above the 50%. So if we just go a little bit further and fail, then I can see this coming right back. This sort of the dollar is in somewhat of no man's land. It's got a lot of support underneath, so it's hard to call. Like I said, I'm not holding positions over in the futures market on this. I am buying dips, but we've got a series of lower highs here, but then this huge support underneath. So we could end up, if this gold doesn't go anywhere, we're going to end up in this range, staying in that range for a while longer until we get a break. Is this a massive bull flag? Yes, it could be. But this huge run up from the COVID outbreak to August last year, 2020. And then we've been in this tighter range. So we were in a reasonable bounce early last year, and then we just got stuck, and we're still stuck in this tight range. I'm going to continue to buy dips next week, but if we break that low, I will stop doing that. So at the moment, I am going to trade this on the basis that this support is holding, but this resistance is tight. If we break, I think we're going to break up pretty quick. Right, let me move on. Obviously, I know some of you are in miners, so obviously we'll have a quick look at the main miners. Right, in terms of this commodity super cycle, there's the beans going. So a lovely pullback here. So out of this 784, I've been talking about this for getting on for 2 years now, this commodity breakout. I don't think it's a question of commodities getting expensive. To me, it's a case of price has been pegged down for too long, and now we're getting these very aggressive breakouts. So this was a very good, decent pullback here, $12, $11.90. I'm looking for this to just keep going. Any pullback to 14.57 is a buy. So this is a huge one, two. This is potentially wave 3. So if that's the case, this has got the distance I would expect this to go in would take us to, I think we're going to 20, 22 bucks. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see that go to 20, 22 bucks, maybe more. So any pullbacks, the best way to trade this is without leverage. You can't, futures market's brilliant in this at the moment. In fact, let's look at a 15-minute chart. I mean, I think that's great to me. Yeah, it's the kind of thing you don't go in and out of and take little slices. It's the kind of thing you do an intraday trade for me. There's a nice little squeeze there, end of Wednesday. Another nice little repeat pattern, and now they're breaking it up. So that's what I used to trade futures on the beans and thoroughly enjoyed it. Right, let's get back to whiz around something else. I'll just look at a couple other commodities. Gas. Okay, that's hit a major wall at 53.30, and that's pulling right back. So I'm looking. I normally start to trade this about June, July. So I would love this to come right back into that slingshot, and then I would look to get long that in the summer, back at middle to late summer. And silver we're not looked at. Interesting. Yeah, silver and both silver and gold trapped. Tell you what, if this closes above 23, I think this is going to fly. So I think this is a good opportunity for some of those ETFs or some of those silver miners. I'll show you a couple of silver miners later. And oil we're not looked at. Oil is on fire. I was waiting for 84.50, 85. We just didn't get it. So I would love to see 88 before we try and reach out for 95. But that is so. I missed out on oil. I was trying to be patient for a decent pullback, and we just didn't get it. Hence the reason why, when a short was suggested, I thought that might work to take us back to 84, 50, 85. It didn't. Right. So let's take that off because that's no use to anybody now. I just need to try and buy a pullback into that. That's the only thing that's useful to me now. Let's see if we come back into the Thursday support. And that's quite, I think that's likely. I think that's going to want to pull back some before that goes, so I'll look out for that. Yeah. Might retrace the 20, and I'd love it to retrace the 20-day average. Yeah. It didn't even come back and touch it. It was so bullish last week. But definitely any retracement into that midweek range, then I would be in that. Orange juice. Let's move on now. Orange juice is coming right back. Okay. Now this is interesting because that's a decent breakout. So if we pull back to 13.5, 13,250, 13.5, I think that's a buy on the orange juice. Wheat. Now, yeah, this is if you want to play the grains and this potential breakout in these commodities, this is a good one to trade, I think, because any small pullback into $7.50, $7.60, ultimately I would look for $9 or $10 in that. This is a really key support zone back here, so I would anticipate wheat to start to pick up and corn. You know what, I would just, if you want to trade any of these softs, I would say wheat is the one to pick up now. Rough rice, let's move on. Rough rice is pulling back, shallow pullback. Lumber. I think that's lumber. LSU, I don't normally trade. That is getting set for another leg up, I think. LSU, I'm not even, I have to double check that is lumber. Right, I don't trade lumber, that's why I'm not recognizing it. Stocks. Let's go through the main UK ones and then we'll look at US. Let's look at banks in the UK. Barclays. I still think that needs to come back to 185. That is rejecting 2021 highs at the moment. So I think that needs to do a pullback right into this sling support, at which time I would definitely be a buyer if that happens. Lloyd's, if you're in it, stay put. Yeah, Lloyd's is obviously doing the same. So I'll be patient and see if we can see 49 again. Stan. Standard Chartered. Wow. That's what a move. You can see all the support I had marked up down there at 410. That does appear to be ahead of itself. So you may see 520 on that soon. Let's look at some oil stocks. Let's look at BP, and then we'll go into what a year this is having. So it plunged into 177 October 2020. You keep hearing me saying this. Once these things break, it's really hard to tell when to get in them, because we are somewhat extended up there. But potentially 397, 395 is the only pullback you're going to get. Potentially, is that going to keep going? I don't know. I'd much rather this pull back some more, but if oil is not pulling back, so this is sort of replicating what you're seeing in oil at the moment. Let's look at what's the other one I was looking at? Let's look at Tullow anyway. There's another one I wanted to show you. I think this Tullow's coming back. I'm going to get into Tullow tomorrow. I think this is a very healthy pullback. Saw some decent volume on Friday into the close. So if I can get a pullback into about the 50-51 area, I will put a stop under 48 and see if that can start to run. Did a similar thing back here. Obviously, we did a similar thing back here in December. So I think this is I would just with something like this, just keep buying the chart pattern looks good. Looks like a three-wave pattern here. This is a potential double bottom, which has led to this breakout. So now if we can hold this and start to push up, then I think we can my year-end target will be about 75, 77, maybe more, depending on how oil behaves, but I think that might continue higher for the rest of the year, potentially. Let me just go and find this other oil company I want to show you. President's oil, but that's not what I wanted. Petrofact. What's Petrofact doing? Yeah, let's have a look at Petrofact. This is interesting. Huge move up to 202. That actually saw some volume down there. That saw some volume on Friday. Concerned that we've got a lower high here, but that's an awful lot of support down there. So as long as that doesn't start closing under 110, it might pull back again. That's the only issue. That's a pretty feeble close back in the last week. I would give that more time. I'd rather pay a higher price and see that close above 120 than start dipping in now and then see it drop right back. So I'm going to be patient with Petrofact, but I think Petrofact is a potential buyer there. General, that's gone. Oh, in the process of going anyway. So 120 was the pullback. We're up there at 155. This is a major area for it, but it held up in the Friday. So if that can hold, that might continue higher. So I'm saying might and etc. just really just to act as a disclaimer for me, because I'm not going to sit here and say this is going here, this is going there, because I don't want anybody having ammunition to come back and throw at me. So if you hear me hesitant about, or if you think I'm hesitant about a price, it's not that I'm hesitant about that stock. It's that I'm not here to commit to moves on the basis of my exposure with yourself. Okay, so as far as I'm concerned, this is setting up to run higher, but on a stock like this, I would buy personally 145, 150. I would drag my stop back under 140 to give it some room. But if you are going to do that, you must do it under your own decision and your own risk. All right, I should have clarified that at the start. But it's not that I'm hesitant about this. It's just that I'm being guarded so that I don't give you the impression that this is a given. Just to clarify. Right. That's enough of that. I want to look at a couple of airlines. Let's start spreading out now. I don't trade these airlines at the moment, but you can see that sideways. So if that's a bullish consolidation, that will probably drop first. I reckon that might drop to 565, 570 before it then picks up and starts to push for these higher numbers. That's just a general rule. Notice how, if I show you what I mean, this is, let's have a look. See, we had a very bullish move up here. And then, but instead of going further, it looked good here. And then it just drifted right back to where it came from. And then it made a lower high and then sunk. So if that could be what we're looking at here. Just because I've drawn this apex doesn't mean to say this apex is going to break up. If this doesn't find any buyers here and start closing up here, this is coming lower. I think there's a decent chance this could come back to this. I think this is a December, January low down here. The volume is not great. So if you want to trade EasyJet, I would be patient personally and see if that could drop right back. IAG. Does anybody trade these types of stocks? Things like Chewy and airlines, etc. Yeah, that looks as if that wants to pull back to me as well. That's stuck. Let's look at Chewy. That looks short-term lower at the moment. There's no volume in that. However, if that does dip back to that support and hold, if I'm right, that could be a really good trade to take that back up to 400, 408. But that's not, I'm not trading that. That's not for me. Deutsche Lufthansa. Okay. While I'm on the subject, let's look at Lufthansa. Very, very similar to EasyJet. Short-term lower, maybe even long-term lower if that can't hold. But it just doesn't seem to have any juice, doesn't seem to have any momentum. It looks like this November pattern, pushed up here in November and then slid right back. We could be seeing the same thing here. And the DAX overall is certainly, I've just looked at IAG. Yeah, Snap had a massive move, didn't it? Snap and Amazon went crazy last week. Menzies. Right, I'll stick with UK stocks for a little bit longer. Give me a shout anything you want to look at in the UK, and then I'm going to switch to US. Okay, that's interesting. Again, I do not like these stocks like this, but I've been proved wrong before. I thought B&M was a NAF stock, and that went mad last year. I think they make a lot of money on in the airports, don't they? These guys. I tell you what, if I was going to trade it and I'm not, I would bid 280 with it, and I would get out if that went under 270. The safer way to play it is to wait for a higher close because it's still closing lower. So I don't know that's going to hold. I think it's worth waiting and see if that closes above 280, 290. Sorry, yeah, 290. And then buy a pullback into 285, 290 to see if that can get back up to those highs. But at the moment, yeah, that's preferable. I would wait because that is still closing lower. And look at this huge bar. We could not close outside of that range. So this bar on the 24th of Jan is dominating the price on this one at the moment. So I think you need caution on that. It's definitely in a very interesting spot, but I think you need caution. RMG, what's RMG? Yeah, sounds familiar. I need a new keyboard. I'm losing some of my keys. Yes, now I was tracking this. Some of the brokers have put out targets for sort of £6, £7 on this. I have to, at the moment, that you know what I'm going to say. That's got to be lower short term, unless we turn around quickly and start closing higher. I think that's coming into £4, £4.15. I was amazed that broke out, but that's coming down on volume. So if you're interested, I would sit tight. If it starts closing above 437, 435, 437 in the first part of the week, I would be buying, but there's no evidence that that's holding at the moment. Right, I'm just going to look at some retailers. Here's Boo, struggling. I'm not in Boo. I'm still just in ASOS. That's seen on screen. And I'm sort of stretching this a bit, really. Part of me thinks I should be out of this already. Because it's just not doing it. Now on Friday, we did see a little bit increase in volume, and we held up. But that is, I am in danger of that losing its footing. Other retail. Let's look at Next. Let's look at the other end of the scale. Next. Yeah. That is a market that, yeah, so I suggested, I've drawn this up for a short, and I suggested the target is 71.34. We're just coming into that. The other short I am in, this is in the same sector, well, it's a retailer. I'm in this short here. I initially sold this at 64.5, took it off at 54, and then started shorting the highs again. I do like shorting these bricks and mortar retailers. Made a lot of money out of shorting bricks and mortar retailers a few years ago. And I think that is, this opportunity is back in again. Can't close above the 20-day average. increase in selling volume. Already seen a sweep down and a pullback. So if I'm right, we should at least see 45, 46 down there. And I think that can keep going. Now, I'm flying in the face of this big move up here to 97. But if you look at what's happened up here, those highs were sold into, those highs were sold into, and we're doing the same thing at the moment. So I'm looking for this to crack. But my risk reward ratio and the actual capital I'm risking is really minimal. I was only risking a few pips up here on the initial short, and the same again. I'm risking a small amount of capital to see if that can really drop. To me, that's a great chart. Ted Baker as well, is it? Yeah, I'm not surprised. Oh wow, Ted Baker's really not doing it, is it? That's it's coming down on volume as well. So we look as if we're going to see 65. Well, that concerns me about ASOS. That definitely concerns me. Seeing these retailers do this. Obviously, we've got an interest rate environment now with UK and US warning about higher rates. Right. Yeah. Let's look at the more finance. LGN. Good point. At the moment, I would say that's weaker. But that's coming into an interesting area. I've got to say that looks, yeah, I think if we get another lower close here, that could really drop a little bit further, if not hard. But the let's look at what's the curries? Because my mind's gone blank. What's the main retailer for curries and so on? It's not Dixon's, is it? Forgotten. Okay, nobody's helping me, so I'll have to let that one go. Right. I promised you I'd look at miners, so let's have a quick look at POG. Is horrible. Still. Sylvania is still dropping. Now, I thought this one was going to pick up, so that looks lower. Wow, there's a lot of nerves and lower close in these markets. And PAF, Pan-African. Yeah, so we've been talking about how much stronger this one's looked all along. And we talked about these pullbacks in 18 to 18. So if gold can do it, gold and silver can do it, then that looks good. Anybody trading US stocks, the silver miner is this one. Come on. Right, so at the moment, lower. Keep an eye on it. Keep a very close eye on it. Because if this is a decent support area, it's 440. So I'm very keen on this one. I would consider buying that if that starts to close about 460. So I'm going to be patient. I'm going to wait for a close about 460. Heckler Mining, feeble. Kinross seems to be the better one. Canada. And even that's pathetic. Even that's not doing much. Right, let's look at what else I can look in the UK. Hang on. Let's look at Astrazeneca. It's pulling right back as well. We haven't looked at your poly. I've got a feeling I know what we're going to see. Yeah, this is really not doing it. Are you still in this, Yonja? It's coming down on volume. You've got to be really careful. So there's a lot of weakness in these markets. Well, if that's going to do it, we've got to get above this 11 sometime soon. Otherwise, unfortunately, that looks lower. Right now, that looks lower. Yeah. Right, let me just go through. I'm in this one, IQE. This is a chip manufacturer in Wales. Small but half-size position. If this doesn't close above 35 in this week, I don't think that may not work. I mean, BT's had a pullback, holding the 20-day average. If this doesn't close above £2 anytime soon, then that is lower. That is under threat at the moment. Vodafone, since I got out, is still going higher. So I am feeling a little bit peeved. I did get out of that. Got out of that at 123. That's currently 135. So the telecoms has been in the doldrums for a while. It's really, really picking up. Look at the volume in these stocks. So if you've not got volume and you're in a stock, be very, very cautious, because these ones are really picking up. And I've just bought into Rolls-Royce again. So this is treading water in a key support area, but it's got it all to do. If we start closing under the pound mark here, then obviously that is going to come and find those lows again. Right. Money Supermarket was a prediction for me. It's had a little squirt. If you're interested, wait for 192. It's got a pickup in volume down here, but very nervy market at the moment. Sainsbury's. I'm just going to flick through some other markets now. Pulling right back, or starting to pull back, I should say. Is that Phoenix Copper? I'm not sure. That is short-term lower. Let's look at Centrica, sitting up into the middle of last week before it pulled back. Right, okay, you get the picture. I haven't got any other UK stocks to look at the moment. So I'm going to now go across to the US stocks. I'll kick off with the ones that you've punched in. Yeah, so look at Snap. I looked at this. I think it's all earnings, isn't it? Wow, what a reversal signal. What a new low, immediate close higher. And it pulled back into the buy zone on Friday. So any pullback into 32, I still think there's time on this one. Yeah, so we did this. That's 2020. Where's the 2021 lows? Let's grab those. So that's the 2021 range, isn't it? Yeah, so all we're doing at the moment, yeah, we come right off the extension level. Look at that, to the pip. That's my 161 extension down there. So this is a potential 161 extension reversal pattern. I am going to buy this on a pullback, and I'm going to wait for a further dip. May not get it, but I'm going to bid on about 31.50 with a stop under that last week's low. So that's snap. Let's look at, yeah, Meta has had this drop. And wow, and so that's gone right back to, so that's breached 2021 support. So if that pulls up soon, yeah, let's close underneath 2021 support. So I would, it is possible that could go and find 20, 40, 50. Possible. That would be the June 2020 lows. At the moment, I would say that is definitely feasible. What do you do? What do you think about Meta? Amazon had a decent push up like Snap. Yeah, Amazon looks very, very much like Snap. If you want, I'm not trading Amazon at the moment. If I were to look to trade it, I would try and buy 295. Bezos sold out a lot of these highs, didn't he? Yeah, I saw that. Its first drop in weekly users. Yeah, it had a really bad week. Well, at the moment, it looks lower. Yeah, if I were to trade Amazon, I would try and get down there. I would be really patient and try and buy 295. I would get out if that dropped underneath those lows at 270. That would be my way of handling it. What's your way of handling it? And Google, yeah, let's have a quick look at Google. I'm supposed to punch in the alphabet. Yeah, I am. Wow, that's got to be lower. I think that could come down to that support. So we've seen a rejection of this so far, rejection of that high. I think that needs a decent drop lower. It is, however, holding the 50% of this bar, which is what I'm claiming to you is a very bullish move. So if we close underneath the 280, then we're definitely potentially going to come into a lower part of that channel. But I wouldn't touch it up here at the moment. Right, other US stuff I like. I have been trading this Bristol Myers. I'm out of it at the moment. It's getting a bit, well, that's not a great place for Bristol Myers. And Pfizer, I think Pfizer is interesting. I think I'd like to see 49.50 again, which I think you might do. And then I'd like to see it try and get to 63. So I'm going to be patient on Pfizer. I had a good time trading Pfizer last year. Marvel, let's look at Marvel. I'll come to that in a minute. Otley, okay. Oh, Shop and Ford, okay. T-Doc, yeah, I've been looking at those. No, Marvel is looking good. Love to see it gap fill at 66.20. Really, really like to see Marvel gap fill. Let's go to my other list. Hang on, and then I'll pick up the ones you've mentioned. There we go. I'll talk about my favourites first, and then I'll come to yours. I like Path. I think this 34.85 is a buy on Path, but I'm going to get out of it if we drop under 30. I drop under 30. Hood's had a really good run on really decent volume. That's a lot of volume coming on Hood. Nice. It could roll over again, but you don't tend to find it once you get the volume coming in. It tends to be more reliable. So if you see 1887 on this, I think that is a buy. And the other one, I'm in Roku. I'm in this Roku because it's a huge support area and the volumes are coming in. So I like Roku a lot. Right, let's look at yours. Shop, I haven't looked at for a while. Taking my eye off the ball on Shop. What's that been doing? Oh, right. Well, that looks like a recovery stock. So it's a buy signal on Friday, new low, close above. Yeah, that's the first buy signal in my book. So I need to, Shop looks buyable to me at 85. If you get in it and it goes under 77.80, then I would personally get out. But I think that is a buy. There. T-Doc. I like the volume. Wow, it's dropped a long, wow. To think that was up at 30 and here we are at 7.5. Yeah, 295. Yeah. Well, I tell you what, you could if you start to nibble on some of these with small positions and then add. I certainly wouldn't go in full size at the moment, given the volatility we've got here. And Ford. Looks lower. We look as if we're still in the third wave of the sell there at the moment. Huge support. I would have thought at the moment, unless that turns around anytime soon and closes higher. I would have thought it's coming down to 16. Yeah, ENPH. I've been looking at that one. Oatley. Yeah, there's a lot of stocks looking like this, threatening to reverse, and this is one of them. I would stand back and wait and see if that closes off 715 will be my style of trading it. I wouldn't jump into that at the moment. We did end up with a lot of blue, a lot of green on these disruptives. So even PLTR is trying to reverse here on volume. So that's looking better. Well, it's looking, that's a potential reversal. Uber. Yeah, that's a reversal signal on Uber. That's a potential buy at 35.95. Twilio. That's a potential reversal pattern as well. Fubo. Better volume, but don't like it. Skills, I think I would steer clear of. Yeah, I'd steer clear of that one. DKNG. Yeah, not bad. Looks as if that's settling down. MU still looks lower. Snow. That's looking a lot better. AND is you took AND as well. What's AND? Or is that just and? Okay, probably just and. AMD, right? Okay. Yeah, of course. Right. AMD. Yeah, that's sitting up. Well, that's seen a lot more volume. That's a very healthy level of volume down there. I would have. Wow. I wouldn't normally expect that to dip on that volume, but it would be great to see that dip. If that has a bad day and comes down to retest this 107, well, that's a hard place to call it up there because it's been on such a big run, a couple of really big, hefty days. I would have thought that would go back to at least 111, 113, but that's hard to call. Nvidia. And then we'll look at yours, Yondra. Yeah, I would wait for a bad day and see if that can drop back. If you're interested in buying that, I assume that's why you posted it. Personally, I would look for that to drop back to 228. I did see some weakness on Friday, so I would like to see that at 228. Right, let's go and look at your ENPH. I'm going to go. That is looking a lot healthier. It's come right back down to this May 21 support. Volumes appear to be picking up. It's above the 20-day average, so that looks as if we're in a wave 3. If we can continue to close higher here, I think that could start to claw its way back to 1970. Earnings on Tuesday, right? Let me diary that. Let me check what earnings are this week. Let's have a look at BABA. That's beginning to show some willing. I would expect that any dip here to get bought up to see that higher end of the week, at least, if not tick higher as we go along. What else? Any other big ones I've missed? No, I think that'll do for now. Any other US? Twitter. Twitter's definitely looking better. That's looking a lot better. Right, let's leave it there. Thanks a lot for your company. Nothing else. There's a few interesting things there. I'm liking. I'm definitely going to dip into some of these US miners as the silver and the gold looks better. Very interested in some weakness in Pfizer, as I had a good year with that. I do like Tullow and Petrofact. So these are the ones I am looking at. I'd be very careful with those Googles and Snaps and so on. Yeah, I did look at that. Let's go back over it now. S&Ps. They ended up holding all these, or the Dow and the S&Ps ended up holding the 20-day average. It's with a couple of 3 lower closes on that S&P. Another volatile week expected with that increase in that VIX and so on, and the potential bounce in the dollar. So, I mean, all the time you close lower, you've got to say lower. But I think if we can pull back into this Monday range and hold, then I'd expect to see it higher. So I think if it dips into this Monday range and holds, then I can see it picking up. Yeah, same with this Dow. This already fell back into the Monday range and held. Brilliant. All right. Yeah, okay. I think we've got the Chinese are off on end of the week as well, aren't we? Oh, Japan's off on Friday. Brilliant. All right, thanks very much, guys. I'll set up the links for, make sure everybody's got a link for Wednesday midweek review, and then we'll go through